Sure. Oh.
This
is good, sure.
Okay. So as people are coming back to the city. It's Labor Day weekend. And
see the parade.
It's cute. The Rebbe had a lot of times these play on words. So the Rebbe once spoke about the level of tznius that has to be also in vacation, that it doesn't change, and whatever. The Rebbe spoke about this once, and the Rebbe said, the Chazal say the person is not allowed to say echte v'oshuv. It doesn't help to say I'm going on vacation, echte v'oshuv, and I'll come back Labor Day weekend. That should all sein good. Yid has to be tzanua. It doesn't matter in the city or in the bungalow. All year round. Okay. Anyway, so I just want to share. I don't want to even say lumdus on this because we can leave the lumdus for another time. I had lumdus. And believe me that I will post it. I'll give it to parrots and we'll post it. An article a few weeks ago from Shalom Fishbane. He's in the kosher industry. He's an administrator in the umbrella kosher industry at Akko, and he talks about Starbucks drinks. So he starts the article with a story. He says that he was recently at one of these pit stops on the New Jersey Turnpike, and he sees a young couple are walking. They're walking out of Starbucks, and they're both holding in their hand this delicious-looking drink called refreshers. And he says, "Oh, good morning, good morning. By the way, I work in the kosher industry." He says, "The drinks that you're holding in your hand, they're not kosher." So he says the man tells him. So he says, "Man,
that's a good way to."
The man tells him, "Mind your own business." He says he stood there for a few minutes and he noticed that the woman walked a little behind and chucked her drink in the garbage while the man kept on sipping. So the problem with refreshers is, besides the fact that they cut lemons with a treif knife, and they throw it in there, is that there is grape juice concentrate inside of it.
Wow.
So it's sort of not like Shaila. We could debate about the lumdus. We could debate about stam yenam if it's Yisrael Reis, Yisrael Ramonon, but I mean that this is like it's so anyway. I'll post it. It's just very interesting.
They don't have a general OU on the product.
No, he said the problem is he says that they're constantly changing not only their drinks, but they're also constantly changing the process of how they make
ingredients.
Ingredients. He says even plain coffee. So here, I just want to share again. I'm not lumdus here. He says that a lot of time. He says you have a problem with even plain black coffee because the problem is the kalim. He says a lot of the places that make coffee, that they don't have a protocol. Basically, a lot of them, what they do, they're big. These big urns. So instead of putting them in a dishwasher, they have these pellets that they put inside, and they run hot water through it. So you don't have to put it through a dishwasher. But he says like the trays where they put in the paper with the coffee percolates through the mushel, those could end up in a dishwasher. So he says depends. He says the emphasis you can use common sense. He says like there's a lot of Starbucks, they don't even have their own dishwasher. He says like they have like small like kiosks, and then there's like there'll be a Pizza Hut that has pizza and pepperoni, and then they're sharing the same dishwasher. So this Kaylee would be sharing. He says he saw, but this is extreme. He says he saw it in a Starbucks that they were selling hot ham sandwiches, and the person that was it was the end of the day cleaning up, put in the sink, put in the tray to clean up for the coffee, throw in the tongs, hot water. When the sink was full with hot water, she put in soap. In other words, if she put in the soap and she put in No. He's the truth is, I think it's good to read such articles. Just this is a little bit to the extreme. I don't know if you have to be kosher so far, but you go in sometimes you on the road and you stop and you see a place. They're not selling any hot sandwiches or anything. You could see the lazy people there. There is no dishwasher on premises. Nothing looks that clean anyway. And they have these big urns of coffee. It's hard to imagine that they're schlepping it off prem.
That sounds like the cheese food. Might be more kosher.
With cream cheese.
Everyone, you have to judge on your own. You have to judge on your own. If you see juicy ham being sold, pepperoni, the places. The thing is, these big urns are probably. It's hard to imagine the workers are going to be matriach to clean them. It's the little pieces here and there.
Yeah.
The little pieces here and there. He actually has several suggestions. He says there's a new espresso machine that all the Starbucks use, and if you order an Americano, there's no pieces. That machine is stationary. There's no little pieces that go off, and Mamela, it's not shaykh that they're going to wash anything because it's all part of a machine, a big machine that's plugged in. And
By the
Mamela,
way, I don't know if you know, in the corner, he is
one second. Let me finish. There's no shilas. It's a simple story. Let me finish. So the bottom line is, he says that you should just. It's common sense. If you coffee is kosher. The coffee is kosher. The shaila with the black coffee is if what's with the kalim? What's with the kalim? The truth is that most of this is an extreme case that he said that he saw that they put in hot water before even if it'll end up being washed together, it usually be with soap, and so the soap is poigim the ham and the pepperoni, and it may be the water's a klisheni. But you have to realize that in your own house, if you had such a shaila and you asked me and I told you, you know what, it's kosher, you would ask chatchila, and so the same thing here. There obviously it's a little different because here it's achshav. There's only achshav. You come into a place and it doesn't look like there is a lot of juicy trefa stuff going on, and they're just percolating coffee for trucks and drivers that are coming by. So and the coffee is pretty important also while you're driving, because you're driving for many hours on the road. So, but anyway, I'm going to, but there definitely is right with all these fancy drinks that you don't know what kind of ingredients go in, and ingredients are changing all the time. I'm surprised that he says that there's a lot. He says he gets phone calls from people to ask him about this specific drink, and the people can't believe it. It's not kosher. It's really not kosher. They think he's, like grape juice concentrate. I mean, what could be kosher about it? If the funny thing is,
Like it's Welch's or
no, but he says it doesn't have hechsher. And he checked. The funny thing is, most of the people sitting around this room, if they went into the liquor store here and they gave them grape juice with a hechsher of OU, lav dafka, they'd even buy it. They would want a better hechsher. And here they'll walk. The Hamish couple would walk in and buy a drink, and they don't even realize that there is. Anyway, I'm going to post it. It's kaddish. It's a nice article to read, and it's kaddish to look at it. Yes, son.
I'm saying, in your corner is 17. They're opening Starbucks. You know the big.
Oh yeah,
yeah, going to be
oh yeah, it could be Starbucks. Oh, you see, Ashgacha Pratis, we spoke about it now. Wow, what Ashgacha Pratis?
It's 17.
That's 70.
16, you mean? On the corner right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what.
Beautiful.
16, yeah.
What Ashgacha Pratis? And yeah,
Yeah, big time.
you're in the kashrus industry.
The owner of Starbucks is a
Israeli.
and the person that makes the tray for food that for all over they send it frozen and everything. It's also it's a food. I asked for
Never. Okay, so fine. This is
The drink tournament has grape juice concentrate in it.
yeah, it's called refreshers. I don't drink any. If I would stop at any of these places, a pit stop, I'd only take black coffee. But even that, it's interesting to again. You have to, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean,
No, you have to know.
but you have to look out.
So espresso might be the best one. Or black coffee.
Right. Interesting. That opened my eyes. Look. Like Rabbi Kirschenberg just said, it's true. It's sometimes we're nizan chol. So even if you're not gonna, it's not ham. Good, but it's a chol and it's a belief of chol. Again, keep your eye, read the article, and then your eyes can be open for it. It's not. Huh? You're driving at night 20 hours. I think there's many Starbucks and many stops there. It's pretty. It's pretty good. You could see that. I mean, there's not much going on over there, and they're just making coffee. But also, if they. Okay. Someone asked me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, two people walked over and they asked about this funny minig in Lubavitch with the kaddish that goes on Shabbos by Mincha. The Shabbos by Mincha by Yahalalu. How does Yahalalu work? Because I was asked a question. I said, it's kedai to look into it.
The Siddur doesn't say it.
The Siddur doesn't say it. They used to say, they took it out. It's very complicated. Yeah. 2 people asked me the Shaila. Leiby was one of them. And B'meila, because I was asked, I said, you know what? Let me be my own taka. I at the time I told him because there's a problem with the kaddish. But what's the problem? So I want to
read the kaddish. Yeah.
Let me flesh it out. Let's read it inside. Let's read it inside, and this is sure. So let's sure. This is we made them to use. Rabbi Weiss, Yisrael Meir, and Rabbi Kirschenberg. Okay, so it's a geshmak sugya like everything minig Yisrael. So this is also it's a geshmak sugya. The Magen Avraham says like this: Ein emrim kaddish ala Torah, she'ein kam b'mala hafsik bein kaddish zeh lekaddish hakodim chai. When see regular, like when you have a Shabbos in the morning, so what we do is we say kaddish for the kriyas HaTorah. Then we read another piece of the Torah, and we say the maftir. So now there is now when we're going to say Musaf, we say another kaddish. So it's very clear that there's 2 kaddish. One kaddish is to finish off. When we start at tefillah in general, we start it with a kaddish. Also, when we finish something, learning Torah, b'frat kriyas HaTorah, we finish off kriyas HaTorah with a kaddish. So Shabbos morning, l'mashal, you have no problem. You finish kriyas HaTorah, and we finish kriyas HaTorah, we say kaddish. Great. Then we read another piece of the Torah, and because we should realize the Torah is more important than the maftir, than the navi. Then we read the navi. We say Yukim Porkim Ashrei. There's enough going on that we could say another kaddish. Here by Mincha, if you're going to say 2 kaddishim, say the poiskim, you have a problem. What are you going to do? You're going to finish kriyas HaTorah, you're going to say kaddish for kriyas HaTorah, and then you're starting to daven Shemona Esrei, and you're going to say kaddish. What's in between? You're saying kaddish after kaddish. It doesn't make sense to say kaddish, even though we know that the first kaddish is for the kriyas HaTorah, and the second kaddish is for tefillah. But it doesn't make sense to say kaddish, one kaddish after another kaddish, and to say the little pasuk Yahalalu should say that's enough as a hefsek. That's not enough of a hefsek. So this is the problem that starts the whole sugya. Magen Avraham again. Einam kaddish ala Torah, shein kam v'mal hefsek ben kaddish zel kaddish hakodim Shemona Esrei. V'afilu b'mincha b'tayna shmaftirin ein kan hefsek. The Torah shaykh la kriya. Because the Torah still has it, because we don't do like Shabbos. We read an extra reading in order to read the Torah. V'chein kosa b'lekutei pardes sha'kadosh alifnei Shemona Esrei koya kriya. The Lekutei Pardes, which is a sefer from Rashi, Talmidei Rashi or Rashi, Lekutei Pardes is a sefer from Rashi, from the Yeshiva of Rashi. So over there it says that the kaddish before Shemona Esrei is going all on the kriyas HaTorah. This Yuma Arichti Ad Kan Lachena V'Chem Mashma V'Lavush. The Zalakute Parz of Rashi says that the kaddish is going on the Kriyas HaTorah. Probably what he means it's going on both. So it seems to be a machloikis between the Rishonim. The Rashi holds that this kaddish is oila lakan or lakan. Why can't the kaddish be for both? Why can't one kaddish be for both? The kaddish is for the end of the Torah, and the kaddish is for the tefillah. I didn't say kaddish right away. I picked up the Sefer Torah, meaning Ashkenaz, the Hagbe, Lila. Okay, but it's a Yom Arich that still it's all a shaykhs to the Sefer Torah. So after the Glila, we start kaddish. So this kaddish is going for both. Now, there's a little bit of a problem, and this is the Magen Avraham, because the Magen Avraham says v'chein kosav. That what he said in the beginning and what he says later in Lekutei Pardes are at odds with each other. So it could be it's a girsa issue. He didn't say v'chein kosav. Kosav. Maybe he said v'kosav. V'kosav. So really it's a machloikis. But as you see, Behemshech, everyone has another pshat on what the Magen Avraham meant. Maybe the Magen Avraham meant that the Lekutei Pardes also said that you can't stam, as they say, two kaddish. Elamai, the Lekutei Parashi, Lekutei Pardes holds that this one kaddish will go for the kriya and also for the Shemona Esrei. But the other shit holds no. The other shit which he brings holds no, that the kaddish of the kriyas HaTorah is bottled. Why? Because the first shit holds that if you have to weigh things up, so in order to start a tefillah, you must have a kaddish. It's an anomaly that in the morning by shachris we don't start with a kaddish. Why? Because Chazal said you have to be smichas gula l'tefillah. So in the morning we can't start with a kaddish. Chum said you have to start gula l'tefillah. So we count the kaddish, even though Birchas Krishma and Shemona Esrei are two separate mitzvahs. They're two separate mitzvahs, but we have no choice. So if someone wants you should do smichas gula l'tefillah. So the kaddish that we do before Baruch Hu, we count that as the kaddish for the tefillah because we have no choice. But by Mincha, we right before Shemona Esrei we say kaddish and then we start. Same thing by Musaf, same thing by Maidav. We always that seems that these Rishonim held that's the more important kaddish. The kaddish after it's l'mashal there are svardim that every time there's a shir, there's a Torah, they stay kaddish in the Rabbanan after.
Most svardim, not
right? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Some Ashkenazim too, but some don't. So same thing. I think that the Lagabe Kriyas HaTorah, it's nice to finish off with a kaddish. But if you didn't finish off with a kaddish, it wasn't a chisor in the Kriyas HaTorah. Mashenk in tefillah, the whole thing of a tefillah is to sanctify Hashem's name. So how can you start a tefillah without a kaddish? It doesn't make sense. This is the way these Rishonim understand. It doesn't make sense to start a tefillah without a kaddish. What kind of tefillah is without a kaddish? Well, you have what kind of business is that? First, you makdish the Eibishter's name. But 10 people answer Amen, and then Mishtel Tzach Shemona Esrei. What kind of starting a tefillah without a kaddish? There's no such thing.
That's
That's a good question. I guess because then it's not nikir that the Kriyas HaTorah is a shaykhs to Mincha. They wanted that the chiluk of the takona is that it should be, and that was a kadam kluma from Yeshua. Why should have been in Yeshua? And this was Yeshua's takona. So and it has to be a chiluk of Mincha. It's not nikir. Probably. It's a good question. The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch brings when he ignores the second shita. The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch says, "Ein emrim kaddish acher kriyas HaTorah v'mincha." We don't say kaddish after kriyas HaTorah. Shenka v'mal hafsik ne kaddish zeh kaddish emrim predim atfila v'lachash. Shav shenoigim lem yahalal machal makam posik echadu v'eini choshev hefsik. This one posik is not good enough to make a hefsik to allow a second kaddish. V'otzalema beis kaddishim zeh zebalo hefsik psukim b'ntayim. You're not allowed to just say two kaddishim one after the other. Lefikach v'mokim she'ein boi sefer Torah she'ein sham hefsek min kaddish. Shalach v'rovalatzian lekaddish shekodim atfila balachash lo yomra lekaddish echot. They talk it on Sefer Torah. They don't say two kaddish. Like we finish a volatzian, we say kaddish. Then we say nisvelos Hashem v'hi ben soya. We have kriyas HaTorah, and then we have another kaddish, and we start. But if you don't have a Sefer Torah, you can't say two kaddish. You say a kaddish, and nisvelos Hashem, and then another kaddish because you did two kaddish one after the other. You're not allowed to do that. Shvani tefila ein ela posek echad ve'eini choshev hefsek v'toiv she'oz lo yom klal v'ani tefilasi olo yom rinu koidem hakadosh miyad achasiyim say the kedusha kaddish lahafsek klal ben kaddish latfila balacha shafila b'posek hazeh echad shelo olam einu maschilum tfila b'lo kaddish lefaneh. What's mitfila shachach b'nei smichas gula latfila? I'm quoting all this not stam as extra information. It's all going to be relevant in a minute. You see that the Alter Rebbe said he also the Magavram, the other person say it. I'm just quoting it from the Alter Rebbe. Mishnah Berurah brings it too. Just I'm going to quote everyone. I'm just bringing it from the Alter Rebbe that that they were so particular that if they don't have a Sefer Torah, so usually we say kaddish and then we say anis filos. So the people go, okay, but I'm a Sefer Torah. We say kaddish anis filos and then Shemona Esrei. No. Why? Because it's not the kaddish. Right after kaddish, you should start Shemona Esrei. It should be nikir that the kaddish. I'm emphasizing this very much because Beis Menachem Mendel has a bad minhag, and someone instituted it many years ago. But I always had a bone to pick with it. But I didn't say anything because I was waiting to be ma'ayin in the sugya. The minhag of Beis Menachem Mendel is that after the Sefer Torah, that after the kaddish is done, everyone says Yahalalu. Everyone says Yahalalu. The reason why the minhag is this way in Beis Menachem Mendel because azoyet emetz angeführt. No bad intention. It was done b'shgoga. I always had in mind that this has happened a couple of years ago. Someone got up and said,
It's going to be changed? What's the question?
well, wait, let's let it. I'm not sure even. I don't know. I'm just telling you, pointing out right away the Indian that's bothering me. I demonstrate I don't have an answer. I'll tell you right in the beginning that I don't have a full answer. But so this is and this is what I wanted to share what I saw. But just start off with the poiskim. That you see that they had a problem that you shouldn't be mafsek when you start at tefillah, like by mincha and by musaf and by maidev. The kaddish you should right away start the tefillah. It should be nikir that the kaddish is going on the tefillah. At kedei kach that even this one pasuk vanis filosi that you shouldn't say this one pasuk. Okay. Now it seems like this. It seems that
you can't say psuk in the middle of kaddish.
That's the problem. What does I say? You're like caught between a rock and a hard place. So before we read any further, as I say, you see clearly in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, he paskin the feidish, he paskin like one shitta. He doesn't even bring the other shitta. Pardes Larashi doesn't even bring it. He says we have a conflict. The kaddish should go for the Kriyas HaTorah, the kaddish should go for the tefillah. The answer is the kaddish goes for the tefillah. The That's it, hands down. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring the other shitta. Elamai, what happened? It seems that the Alter Rebbe himself was uncomfortable with this. Why? So we'll read it soon inside, but the Reb Chaim Vital gives a list of kaddishim that happened during the day. And on Shabbos he says that one of the important kaddishim is Omen Yehi Shmei Rabba Da'agadeta. The Omen Yehi Shmei Rabba you say for Kriyas HaTorah Mincha. He puts it in the list of kaddishim. So since Apik Habola, that is that the Reb Chaim Vital never said anything of his own. He said from the Arizal. So the Arizal counted that Al Pipni Misa Torah, this kaddish is counted for Kriyas HaTorah. So when the Alter Rebbe wrote, I'm giving you my take. No one's saying this, but it seems so poshut to me. No one has to say this. Something that's so poshut, you don't have to say, but maybe it's kedai to point out. In the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, he wasn't so concerned what the Pri Etz Chaim writes or doesn't write. He looked at the poskim, and maybe Pardes Larashi says different, but he held that most poskim makes more sense this way. And he said that the kaddish of Kriyas HaTorah is bottle. It's not necessary. But what is necessary is to have a kaddish before you start a tefillah. We don't start a tefillah with our kaddish. You have to start with this. So the kaddish is only for the tefillah. But when he went with the Poel Mamish, when he made the minhag for Chvat Siddim, so in the Siddur, he wrote something. He wrote it with great ambiguity. He wrote about what to do. He said, "Ache Kriyas HaTorah mispalim, ve'emrim kaddish koydem atfila." It's a funny lashon. Should have said, "Ache Kriyas HaTorah." It's a little bit of a funny lashon. So the Rebbe's grandfather, Kollel, has a whole pilpul about this. And he says that it's Yodua bebidur. It's Yodua bebidur b'minik Chabad, that the Alter Rebbe made a minik to try to accommodate for both shittas. It should go also al pinigla and also al pinister. What's the thing? To start saying the kaddish right after the glila. So therefore it's nicker that this kaddish is going for the Kriyas HaTorah, and the Chazan should say the Kaddish slowly. Now, there seems to be a machloikis. What was the anhogel that the Alter Rebbe was manik? That Alter Rebbe never wrote it. So it's not clear what was the minik. And part of that is my question now. So when are you supposed to say Yahalal? Are you supposed to say, it would seem most, so there's four possibilities. What does it? Maybe you don't have to say it all together. Because now we want to make a pshara between Nigla and Nister. It's also not only Nigla and Nister. There's also Rashi who holds that the kaddish is going for both. So we don't say Hallelu, or maybe Hallelu should be before kaddish, and maybe Hallelu should be after kaddish. Hallelu being after kaddish, huh? Three.
Don't say.
Yeah, don't say it before, after, or during kaddish, To say during kaddish is a little bit of a doichik because you're really supposed to listen. It's when the Shliach Tzibah says kaddish, you're not supposed to do other things. You're supposed to listen. They're saying Amen. They're saying what Shliach is gadol shmei Abba. So I'm listening. I'm saying, oh, Amen. It's true that the Abish's name should be big. Not that I'm doing other things, that I'm reading something and Amen. I am listening, right? So that's a bad possibility. To say before Kaddish, so the Rebbe Zayda thought that that's taka what's supposed to do, that you're supposed to say the Hallelu before. The problem is that it seems, and that's what the Vel does. And the Rebbe Zayda holds that way. The Divrei Nechemia, who was a big poisek, and was that Talmud Al, the Rebbe holds that way. But it seems that Lepoil, the Minuk Chabad, the Rebbe writes in his Rishimas, look in the back, I'm going to bring you straight to the last paragraph. The Rebbe writes in his Rishimas of what his father-in-law told him. Started right away by the glila. That they're meidich in this kaddish, they're very long. Why? They're meidich. Why? Because if they're going to finish the kaddish, everyone's going to right away start Shemona Esrei. This guy brought the Sefer Torah into the Aron Kodesh, and he's sitting right over here. So now he has to walk from here to here. 10 people already started Shemona Esrei. You're not supposed to walk because it disturbs in front of someone that's davening. So therefore, by the Chazan saying very slowly the Kaddish until this guy closes the Aron Kodesh and goes back to his place. So you don't have that problem. That's what he writes. That's what the minig is. Minyan becheder, missing a ratio. The more the Shema said in the Rebbe Rashab, oik sheyotzu hula minyan vim kotzer ba'kadosh, oy mamtinim Elohim the mederech hamachnes sefer Torah leichel lahaskil tvilosum ad sheyachnes sefer Torah. Then the Rebbe writes himself, Pilpul bezebek tzoysa shulchem a piske sidder lab Rav Chaim no. Mesayim betzorach in Godel b'divri shara koil v'shebekam mekomes mitzchil na kadosh teikef acher amilus yahalalu. So he brings, the Rebbe brings that there is an opinion that you say first Yahalalu, but it seems that that was not the minig in Lubavitch. The minig by the Rebbe Rashab was that Shaz the Glila, so you can't say Halalu then, they're still doing Glila. So they would start, but he doesn't say when to say Yahalalu. He doesn't say when to say Yahalalu. Bottom line is, it seems that they wanted to make up Shara, that the Kaddish should go for both. So they wanted to start the Kaddish right away as they're finishing the Glila. On the other hand, they wanted to be Masamach L'Tfila, not only Masamach L'Tfila, they wanted that every person should get back to a seat before the Kaddish ends. So when the Kaddish ends, everyone starts together, Hashem Sfosai Tiftach. So when is Yahalalu supposed to be? So it's not clear. It's not clear. So I looked at several articles that are written about it. They say that the Rebbe used to. This is, I can tell you, I always noticed as a child, noticed things that are odd. So in 770, the Chazan used to finish. The Rebbe used to fabreng 1:30. You can set the clock. The Rebbe came downstairs to fabreng. The end of the fabreng was always mincha. By the time the fabreng was finished, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It's time for mincha. It was always mincha. So for many years at the end of Fabrengen, the Rebbe sat in the middle of 770. The Rebbe used to walk to the front, and they said mincha, whatever. For many years that way. that went on from what I remember. I was around from Tav Shemem Aleph till Tav Shemem Zayin, Tav Shemem Ches. And I always noticed something interesting. Again, a child is looking around. I'm talking a kid. I'm 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm looking around more than I'm davening. So I noticed something that the Rebbe used to sometimes the Chazan finishes the last Amen, and the person that bringing Sefer Torah in didn't finish yet because a few people are kissing Sefer Torah and whatever, it didn't finish yet. The Rebbe always used to look at the Oren Kodesh, at the direction, and he didn't start Hashem's Tzvos Tiftach until the person closed the Oren Kodesh altogether. In my mind, it was always the pshat is that like you don't do 10 things at the same time. It's covered Sefer Torah. Most people start as soon as they hear the last Amen, they say Hashem's Tzvos. They're not looking at the Oren Kodesh yet. But I noticed this thing, but to me it was always like, wow, everyone's starting to daven. I'm looking around, 70 is quiet. There's maybe 2,000, 3,000 people. Everyone's davening. And it's funny, people are not noticing. The Rebbe didn't start davening. The Rebbe is looking at the person who's being machna Sefer Torah, and he did never, ever tell me, every Shabbos, I noticed this. I was like, Apella. 3,000 people are already davening Shemona Esrei, and the Rebbe is still looking and didn't start even Hashem's Tzvos Tiftach until the person finished and pulled that curtain and then walked away. And that's when the Rebbe would start Hashem's Tzvos Tiftach. Now that I'm learning the sugya, maybe there's another reason for this, which is that there's a shaila, the person is being over lifnei mispal. I'm not sure what the pshat is. Rabbi Harlock said that he noticed that the Rebbe would say quietly Hallelu at that time. So could be that was the Rebbe's minhag. So, but there was definitely one thing I could say, that in the minhag in 770, when the Rebbe was at there, which is I'm around for 11, 12 years to say this every Shabbos for 12 years. You don't miss the Chazan never announced Yehalalu, and the Olam also never announced loud Yehalalu. So could be it's not clear what was the ahogah that the Alter Rebbe was manning. Maybe it wasn't so clear. So here is a little shot. If it's true what Rabbi Harlock says, here is my little shot. If the Chazan is going to say Yehalalu Shem and everyone's going to answer that's nikir as a hefsek. Mashenkin, when a person says it quietly after the kaddish,
no hiccup.
it's not nikir, it's a hefsek.
Same time he's looking at their kodesh not to make a.
Okay, I'm just telling you what I saw. I don't remember that Rebbe should mumble with his lips. I do remember I didn't stand so close. From where my place was, I could see that Rebbe is looking for the kaddish. I didn't notice that the Rebbe is mumbling. Rabbi Harlock, who stood Mayor Harlock stood very close, says that he noticed that the Rebbe was mumbling and he heard that the Rebbe was saying Yehalalu. So you have to accept his edus. But one thing is, if you accept his edus, you don't. I can tell you one thing clear, that the Chazan never said loud Yehalalu, and the Olam never answered Hoidui. That never happened. So what did happen? Either some people said it before, maybe some people said b'shas, maybe some people said after. What did the Rebbe do? Rabbi Harlock says that the Rebbe used to, after the last Amen happened, the Rebbe there was always a few minutes, because it took time till Sefer Torah got into the Oren Kodesh till he closed. It was always, at least 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And that's when the Rebbe said quietly Yehalalu. So you could say he didn't think that was a hefsek, because it's not that the Chazan is announcing it, Noelim is answering it. So he said it quietly, and that's that. Anyway, so that's it. So summarize, what's the lumdus over here is, that there seems to be a machlokas Rishon. This kaddish, is it shaykh to Kriyas HaTorah? Is it shaykh for the Shemona Esrei? Or is it shaykh for both? And the Alter Rebbe wanted to accommodate that it should be for both. So therefore, he said that right when as they're doing Glila, the Chazan should go over and start Yizgadal Yizgada Shemei Rabba, slow. And this way, the Kaddish is going for both. It's going for the Kriyas HaTorah, and it's also going for the Tefillah. So what's the problem with the minhag Beis Menachem Mendel that everyone now announces loud Yehalalu Hoidu? Is because, as you see, that the poskim say that if there's no Sefer Torah, you should say only one kaddish, and the pasuk Vanis Filosa, you should say before the kaddish because you shouldn't be making a hefsek. Is that a terrible thing? It's not a terrible thing. You don't go to jail for this. But I'm just pointing out. So I'm not so clear. Taka, what should be the? Okay. I'm leaving it at this. One more thing I want to say. There's we always do 3 shilas, so something cute came up. So I'm reading it. There was the Lutem Chetmimim started about in Tov Rishon Zayin in Lubavitch, 1897. Lubavitch. Both my great grandfather had the schus to be from the first Talmidim in Lubavitch. And here I read an article about a Talmud that was in Lubavitch and was also nifted on Tezvav on that day, on Tezvav Elul. And he was a kosher Rov. He was a Rov in the city of Barisav. He also learned by Reb Chaim Briskin. He had a smich for Reb Chaim Oizer, a kosher Talmud Chochem. If he was a Rov in the city of Barisav, he must have been. Barisav is a town which is next to Minsk. You're not a Rov in the city of Barisav in 1900 if you're not a Moedik Talmud Chochem. It's just not shaykh. They're 20 miles from Minsk. Obviously, if he was the Rav on Barisav, he was a Choshev Talmud Chochem. Where is it?
Minsk is considered Russia.
Minsk is it's Belarus. Today it's the capital of Belarus. It was at that time. At that time, it was a Ir ve'ein b'Yisrael. There were maybe a few hundred shuls there. Yeah. Minsk is the Ir ve'ein b'Yisrael.
It was considered part of Russia.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know right now. Minsk, what we call today Litvish. It was Litvish. Minsk was Litvish. I don't know. At some point, it was some part. It was part of Poland. I don't know.
Well, it was Minsk. It was a different place.
It's a different place. Minsk is Ir ve'ein b'Yisrael, the Kollel of Minsk. And Isaiah learned about the Kollel of Minsk before he came to Lubavitch. Was Ir ve'ein b'Yisrael. Anyway, he was asked to become the Rav in China, in Manchuria, in Khurban. So here there's a short little article about him because it's his yard site this week. His name is Reb Aaron Moshe Kisilov.
When he passed away.
He passed away. It doesn't say when he passed. It's the day. It was 15th of Elul. They don't say which year. But he Kisilov. And he was, so it's fascinating. They said that what happened was that when Russia built the longest, which is they say till today, the longest the train line, the Trans-Siberian train line, which is 5,700 miles. Kayadua, that a lot of Yidden saved, their life was saved, including the Mir Yeshiva, the Lubavitch Yeshiva, that went all the way to Vladivostok, Japan, China, Vachulu. So when they're building this thing, and one of the final stops was the city of Khurban. It was a town, it's a hamlet. Khurban, and Harbin. So Harbin is a town, and now one of the Russian generals in charge of the project of building the Trans-Siberian Railroad said, you know what? I'll tell you how we get the town. Invite the Jews. It's a pale settlement. Jews are suffering pogroms. No pogroms. Or at least let's tell them there's going to be no pogroms. They get equal rights. They're normal citizens. In no time, there were 20,000 Jews living in Harbin. The city council had 20 members. 12 of them were Jewish. Now you have 20,000 Jews in a town. They brought the kosher. And apparently he was very active, and he wrote even a booklet that he published for the youth to be mekadev them and to bring mekadev them in Yiddishkeit. And it's funny, he prints the Sefer Shalos Tshuva Tovresh Peivav, 1926. In other places in Russia, it's like nothing's happening. So and he's publishing a Sefer Shalos Tshuvas, and he says he's planning to publish more. So, and it's published in Harbin. The Sefer is, so they say in the article, this is probably the only Sefer Shalos Tshuvas ever published in Harbin. So I figured it's his yard site. Why not? I look at his Tshuvas. So, the joke about when a Jew ends up on an island and there's 2 shuls. So there's a dispute. There's a dispute that there's a Chevra Tehillim. and they say Tehillim every day. And now they got together, the Chevra Tehillim, and they wrote a Sefer Torah. Now, some of the guys in the Chevra Tehillim, they daven in the first shul on the island, and the other ones daven in the other shul on the island. So now there's a dispute where the Sefer Torah, now that the Sefer Torah is complete, but the Chevra Tehillim has. Some of them belong to one shul, and the other them. So they said in Roiv, it seemed like whatever, like 70% belonged to the big shul. So they said we want to bring the Sefer Torah where we daven, and so there's a shaila about the upshot of his lumdus is a very geschmack of just one nakuda, it's 5-6 pages. He says it's true that we find that with anything that has to do with a tzibur, you go with the roiv. There's an issue with the tzibur, you have a vote and you go with the roiv. But he said this Sefer Torah, they had no shaykhs to the tzibur. Chevra Tehillim is a group of people that are saying Tehillim, and they all chipped in money to write a Sefer Torah. That's not a din of tzibur, that's a din of shutfin. He brings a lot of rayas for this. It's a chatas shutfim, chatas tzibur. There is a group, but they didn't come together as a tzibur. It wasn't as the community wrote a Sefer Torah. There was a Chevra Tehillim that they all were part of this society of saying Tehillim, and they all chipped in to buy. That's a shutfim. So there's no shaykh a roiv. One can a roiv. If you have 100 people invested in a business, and 70 said we want one way. Okay? So we say, you know what, 30 say, we'll give all the money to 70%, and the 30%, well, you can't say that. So he suggests several things. Either good or good, that the 30% or the 7%, someone has to buy out the other part, and then they'll have another Sefer Torah in the other shul. And if he can't, he said they'll have to split the Sefer Torah, that half a year it's in the shul and half a year in the other shul. Or work out. Yeah, he said maybe, and he goes into pilpul about that. That's
almost like Shlomo HaMelech. With the babies.
Just fascinating. You think that the Jews are in Horben, that over there, wherever Yidden are, there's Baruch Hashem, always interesting shaylas and tshuvas that are happening.